I'm now delighted to be joined online by Mark Bonner, the Cambridge United manager, as we look ahead to Cambridge United's upcoming match against Premier League opposition Southampton in the second round of the League Cup. And first of all, Mark, for a club like Cambridge United, a good victory in round one. How exciting is it for you and your players to come up against Ralph Hasenhüttl and Premier League opposition in Southampton?
Yeah, really exciting. I think it'll be a huge challenge for us. I mean, we've had some experience of playing teams from higher levels last season as well, and we know how difficult those games are. It's also the first time in the history our clubs have met. There's only two teams we've never faced. So for supporters and the history of the club, it's a good moment, and it's certainly a game that we know will really test us.
And I suppose, Mark, given Southampton's start to the Premier League, and obviously expectations mightn't be as high as what they were in previous years with Southampton, there's a bit of unease at the moment. Is that something you're looking to capitalise, given Southampton, many people are predicting that they might be involved in a relegation battle? Obviously Premier League is a cutthroat environment that certain players might be rested, and there might be a chance for you to capitalise really and take down what could be so-called deemed a bigger gun.
Well, I think it's not right for me to speak about a competition and a team I don't know too much about. The cut and thrust of that league, I'm sure, is true, but at the same time, to speculate on their league season isn't really for me. What I know is they've got a hugely talented team and squad that play at a much higher level than we do. So we know that the challenge for us is huge. What we'll try to do is give the best version of ourselves and hope that, because I think the reality is when you play these teams, you need to be at your best and hope that they're not. And if that's the case, then hopefully we can be competitive. And whether we can cause a surprise or not, I mean, time will tell. But what we do want to do is we want to give a really good account of ourselves, because it's moments like this where you get highlighted a little bit as a club and a team, and it's a good opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and you mentioned Cambridge United highlighted as a club, as a team, but a year operating in League One, and dare I say in League One, there are some big clubs in League One with big reputations as well. No doubt looks like the Derby County, the likes of Sheffield Wednesday, Ipswich Town as well, with big stadiums, big financial resources as well. So as a club, you're used to meeting those teams with sort of higher pedigrees on a weekly basis. So there's no real, I say, for your players as well, there's no real fear of intimidation going up against the Southampton, where maybe like a Manchester City or a Liverpool, dare I say.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right there. I mean, we are sort of used to it, Jim. We've been the underdog for 2 years, really. So quite a lot of weeks we're going into games without the expectation and pressure on us. I'd say there's a real healthy respect for the team that we're playing, but we try to frame ourselves as a confident underdog that think we can compete with people, and the test for us is to show that. So we've got to go into the game excited by the challenge. It'll be a brilliant atmosphere at our stadium in the evening of the game, and we'll really look forward to it and hope that we can be one of those teams that catches the headlines.
And I suppose, Mark, in terms of these one-off games, they're really like cup finals as sort of such. I was speaking there in terms of to Mark Hughes earlier on in the day, and I asked him, how do you sort of prepare for these games? Do you treat them as, right, we're going to go out, we're going to go give it a go, we're going to sort of attack from the off, have no sort of regrets? Or is there part of you think, right, we have to be respectful, maybe take in the first 10 or 20 minutes, play our way into the game and see how it goes from there? Or is there two different concepts as a manager that you're sort of thinking about?
I mean, you don't go into it burdened by any league form or with the pressure of points. You know that there has to be an outcome, so that makes the game quite exciting in a way. But we have to play the game like us, and we don't want the game to be a really open game that we can get, destroyed by a really physical team, in that sense. So we'll play the game like we play it. We'll try and get some control of it if we can, and we'll try and limit their space and time when they get the ball. So it's not a gung-ho approach. It's just an extension of how we play without the pressure or it being a league game. It's a one shot to try and pull off a result. It ends on penalties on the night at the end of 90 minutes if it's level. So it's a game that we know will end on the night, and we want to try and make it favourable to us if we can.
I suppose, Mark, judging by your league forms so far this season, bar the recent away game against Portsmouth, it's been a very encouraging start to the season. You've registered goals nearly in every sort of game so far that you've played in, and obviously taking points against Charlton away the last day, victory against Exeter, competitive enough, dare I say, in the loss against Oxford, and obviously that victory against Millwall, Championship opposition in the previous round. So, bar the Portsmouth result, you must be fairly happy enough with the start to the season.
Yeah, and even in that game, 60 minutes of it, we were excellent and really competitive, and the game ran away from us a little bit. But we have had a good start. We've got a lot of games. It's a busy first month of the season, but we're in good health going into the game and really looking forward to it. And hopefully the confidence that we've built and momentum that we've got, we can take into the game and try and give a good show of ourselves.
And I suppose you mentioned there a club like Cambridge, where in League One, obviously, it's a year on, it's probably sort of progression you're sort of looking at. You mightn't have the same, dare I say, the same expectancy or pressure from the fan base like what Sunderland would have for the last 2 or 3 years trying to get out of League One as well. So in that way, can you sort of attack the cup competitions that bit more in terms of some clubs who might be fighting for, dare I say, automatic promotion, like a Sheffield Wednesday, a big club would be thinking, right, priority is next Saturday, we might sort of rest 1 or 2 players. Does that give you a licence where, dare I say, you can attack the cup competitions that bit more in terms of using all your main resources?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, we want to attack every competition we play in. It's just a mindset that we have. I mean, those clubs with expectations higher up the league, they have bigger squads to cope with it too. I mean, we know our bread and butter and priority competition is the league, but we've had some real successes over the years in the cup competitions, and we want to try and do that again, because for us, really, it's about creating memories for supporters and players and creating funds and money, because prizes and the TV games and things can create you that. And when you're a smaller club, that's what it's about. So we'll attack all those cup competitions in the same way. We know the league is our priority, but at the same time, we want to try and give our supporters and players some memories to take with them when their time here comes.
And I suppose in terms of Southampton as sort of such, obviously your focus probably turned to them straight away after the Charlton result. And did you take in much of their games once you found out the draw, or once your scouting department and once you found the draw, or did you leave it aside until the Charlton game was over? And have you, since the Charlton game, have you watched 1 or 2 games of them in action so far?
Yeah, we've watched we do our normal sort of work. We have some games watched, and then we go and obviously watch a lot of games on the video after the Charlton game. But we've been working on that one a little bit. I think the difficulty with these games is you probably know that the opposition are going to make changes. So not quite knowing their team and their options is difficult. It's harder to plan for the team that a league game is. But you get an idea of what these games can look like and the style of the opposition. So we know we're in for a good game, a tough game, and whichever 11 they pick, they're Premier League footballers at the end of the day. So it's certainly a challenge for us. But I think you've got to embrace those challenges and attack them without any fear, really.
And I suppose I know it's speculation, or thought he might play or he will not play, but in terms of the influence that James Ward-Prowse has on that Southampton team, an England international, one of the best dead ball specialists in the English Premier League in terms of free kicks, corner kicks, I suppose as a manager, if he's playing, I suppose that's something you're aware of, maybe not giving away free kicks inside your own half or 30 yards out from goals or set pieces or corners, given James Ward-Prowse's technical ability. Obviously that's something that can really hurt teams, and not only the Premier League but maybe lower level as well.
I think it's always a consideration in every game that we play that, but certainly when you come up against someone who's as special at that as James is, that will be something that we'd, to be honest, we'd quite like the opportunity to play in front of him or with him, against him, because you want to test yourselves against the best, and if they're on the pitch, they can be great education for our players when they play against these types. So certainly if he plays, we'll have to be aware of that quality that he has, certainly from dead ball situations, but just in the main as a player, they're top level players, and it's a great experience for us to get the opportunity to play them.
Yeah, and I suppose, Mark, in terms of that operation in sort of League One, last year a player was in League One playing with Portsmouth on loan from Manchester City, and judging by his performances then, he got a 7 million move to Southampton, Gavin Basnu, the Irish international. So that goes to show you that if you are performing really well at that level, in terms of that clubs do take notice and they do make moves for you as well. So it's a chance obviously for players as well to make an impression. Obviously Gavin made an impression with Portsmouth last year, and that earned him his move to the Premier League from a League One club.
Yeah, I think that is always something that you look at. You know, there's certainly had a very good season with Portsmouth last year, and obviously for Ireland as well. So he started the season well as well for Southampton. So we look forward to that. But there is certainly an ambition in our club that we want to play higher, and we want players with an ambition to take us there or to get there themselves. So these games are definitely opportunities so they can see, right, how do they match up to that level, and teams and players at that level. So as I said, they're great experiences for us, and one that you've got to make the most of.
And I suppose, Mark, in terms of analysing Southampton, obviously you're aware of the so-called big names that would have been in the club, but when someone arrives in, take for example a Sekou Mara from Bordeaux just on the summer, and he's thrust in one or two sort of games, and does that create a different sort of challenge in terms of maybe familiarising yourself with players that you mightn't have heard of before, that are newly arrived in clubs? Dare I say he might not play or not, but in terms of, right, you know, as a football manager, as a football fan, what the likes of a James Ward-Prowse can do, what a Che Adams can do, what a Theo Walcott could do, but someone like that is a mystery. Is that more dangerous in itself?
In some respects, yeah, but sometimes we can overload the players with information, and in the end, you've got to get yourself to a physical, mental place where you can go and play your best game, and we can try and give millions of snippets of information, but we can overload people there, and in the end, we need our players to go on the pitch and play with the freedom and the flow that they normally play with. So it is harder sometimes to give the real detailed information on all the individuals, and so we have to be mindful of that and give the players as much as we can, but we don't want to overload them. So there are players on the pitch that we know a lot less about than we would if we were playing against teams in our own division. But we do the best we can to prepare them, and hope that on the night we're quick learners and can adjust fast to the game.
And I suppose finally for me, Mark, I suppose in terms of building connections as well, no matter what the result, it's obviously an opportunity for yourself to sort of build up dialogue, hopefully with Ralph Husenhotel after the game, form connections, and obviously there might be sort of one or two players, younger players in his squad that he might want to go out and gain first team experience in terms of operations as well. And given that there's 10 days left in the transfer market as well, obviously being in League One, obviously you cater good first team experience for young sort of talented Premier League sort of players that want to go out on loan and want to start their careers as well. So is that a vital aspect as well of that job, when you meet Premier League managers and you get to meet them face to face after a result, that you maybe after the game you can have that chat, that discussion, build discussions, form relationships, and who knows, it might benefit Cambridge United in the long term no matter the result.
Yeah, of course. I think building the relationships and building the network is really important. For me, it will be more about picking Ralph's brains around how he does certain things, how he works, and bits and pieces like that. Any time you get to spend with those people is great. I don't see it being an impact for us in this transfer window because we're happy with the squad that we've got, but certainly in the future, you never know. You certainly want to build those relationships. So I look forward to meeting him and seeing where we can go from there.
And finally, last question, Mark, in terms of the league, what's the priority for Cambridge United this year? Is it roughly with 10 games to be in, to be in with a fighting chance to make the playoffs? Would that be deemed a sort of successful season, to be known that you're in within earshot of being in that playoff contention bracket come the end of the season?
The reality for us is success is staying in this division with our resources, but we had a very good season last year, and we want to try as a group of players and staff, we want to try and build on that. So our intention is to try and improve from last year, but we know how difficult that is. So that's what we'll be working to do. We've started well, but there's obviously a long way to go.
Mark Bonner, thanks for taking the time to speak to us today, and we wish you all the best against Southampton in League 2 in round 2 of the League Cup. Mark, pleasure talking to you and best of luck.
And you, thank you, thanks.
Thanks, take care.